And they're everywhere.
One problem, the violin. To do what you do, you've got to be a world-class violinist.
The problem is with you, you need to be in a group. You need to sing it.
There were times when it sounded to me like a bunch of rats being strangled. But you're not good enough. You're not good enough. But you're not good enough.
Not good enough.
All right. Welcome, everyone. It's another asset management Zoom. Let me stop sharing sound. Hey, Pavi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Awesome. Great. I was gonna actually share the the usual intro slides. I guess I'll just do that just because this is recorded, but I'm like, everybody here has been here before. You all know what the asset management Zoom series is all about, but I will do it for the sake of those who are new or are watching the recording. So hold on. Usually makes my computer seize. Hey, Sean, thanks for being here. I don't know, at the end of this session, Sean, I'm not sure if you'll like the I don't know. You're gonna see it's gonna be a little interactive. I don't know if you're gonna actually like being here. We'll see. To be decided. Hi, Bibi.
Yeah, I'm okay
So
with that.
welcome everyone. So this is the Monday Asset Management Zoom series of the Multifamily Freedom Chasers online community. We are a community that's geared towards working professionals. We believe that financial freedom is feasible while working and being an investor in apartment buildings. So we have a Facebook group. Today we seemed a little bit more active on the on the WhatsApp scene. There was quite a number of questions going on there. If you haven't joined us on either of those platforms, feel free to scan the QR code. I put the link in the chat for anyone that might want it. These Zooms are recorded and they are streamed on Spotify, YouTube, etc. And when we don't have this Monday asset management Zoom series, we have an activation Zoom. But when it comes to the Monday asset management Zoom, it's run by Bibi as well as myself. We're both moms. She's in Dallas. I'm up in Massachusetts. She's been doing this for over a decade, and we are reachable through our different social media links, email, etc. And this I can throw in the chat as well, though I suspect everybody has connected with us in one way or the other. All right, so I'll stop sharing that. And then we'll jump right into why we're here. Un momento. All right, there, contacts in there. So let's see, I'm gonna get a temperature of the room and see if my little plan will work. I think it will based on who's already here. All right, so what we're doing today is, and let me get my presentation up. So give me 1 minute to set it up. I've got a gazillion and one screens. Okay. Okay, I think we are. Hey, Daryl. We're in go, go, go mode. All right. Here we go. So one of the lovely things for those who don't know, if you're new to CRE, commercial real estate, but I suspect most of us aren't. But one of the things that attracted me the most, okay, let me just stop here and clear the elephant in the room. It's me presenting today, not Bibi. And they're like, why is she still talking? Because it's me. It's me. It's me. Oh, Lord. So one of the things that
Ofiri today.
yeah. One of the things that, attracted me to commercial real estate, as opposed to residential, for those of you who have residential assets, is our ability to pull different levers, right? We can pull the income lever, we can pull the expense lever, and we can force appreciation, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of the things that attracted me to it. And the entire goal is to do one thing, really, increase your NOI. That's the bottom line. And you do this whether you're increasing income or decreasing expenses or both. Hopefully you're doing both. And that results in, an exponential increase in your value through the cap rate, et cetera. So the profit and loss is a document that eventually and ultimately leads to the calculation of your NOI. So here I am, a pharmacist, now an asset manager, focused on raising capital, focused on doing investor relations, because you're wondering, so why are we talking about this? Because all of a sudden, boom, I was presented with this document. I had to convey it in some intelligible way to investors. I had to understand it. And I don't know, it took me a little bit to make that switch. So if you've never had to be in that position before, and you've never had to, deal with income statements, financial statements, that's fantastic, phenomenal. This is a Zoom for you. If you have, great, you'll add to the discussion. But I think it's an essential skill, that an asset manager should have, which is understanding how financials work. You don't need to have a degree in accounting or finance, but it helps. It really does. And for those who don't know, I'm on a couple of projects with Bibi. And what she did was she skillfully crafted the team in a way that we do have accountants on our team as general partners. So that's been exceptionally helpful. But do you need to have a degree? No, you don't. Well, would it be, helpful if you either did or you had someone, who was an accountant? Probably. But this Zoom would hopefully serve as a stepping stone, for you. So what's the profit and loss statement? The profit and loss statement, also known as the income statement, is essentially shows you how much income you generated or how much expenses you incurred over a period of time. All right, so that's the key. It's over a period of time. Um, why do we care about it? Well, lenders care about it, investors care about it. They use it to assess, and you should care about it as an asset manager or as a general partner, because that's what's used to assess the property's financial health and profitability, right? If you've not closed on your first multifamily deal, which you will, if you're still in the looking process, you're probably looking at financial statements from the current sellers. It's put in a different manner. It's called the T12. It's pretty much the same thing. When you switch over into the asset management role, it's slightly different, because instead of going, well, why did the seller do that? No, now you're in the hot seat, and now the controls have been handed to you. You're going to be that person that one day someone's saying, why did the seller do that? You'll now tag, you're it. So I think it's essential that everyone on the general partnership understands how this works. And then there's another financial document, which I'm not going to go over, but it's called the balance sheet. So what we do on our team is that we provide our investors with these monthly profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. The balance sheet shows assets, liabilities at a fixed point in time, whereas the profit and loss shows it over a period of time. And no, I'm not going to go over the balance sheet, like I said, but I just wanted to let you know, those are two things that we do share. Why do we share this? We share this with them for transparency, but before we do that, there has to be some measure of accuracy. And so what some of the general partnership team does is that they reconcile what you see on the profit and loss statement. Who gives us the profit and loss statement? In our case, it's not, the end all be all, but in our case, it's generated by the property management company. If you don't have a property management company, maybe you're, part of a very large or well-established team where you have everything in-house, you're vertically integrated, and you already have, an in-house accounting team. Maybe they're the ones, generating it for you. Maybe it's none of the above, and you have to reach out to third-party accounting firms. Doesn't matter. Someone every month has to generate this profit and loss statement. Now, you could take it at its face value and just run with it. That's kind of dangerous, I would say, because we always, without fail, find errors. There's always some discrepancies, there's always some errors, and that's where having those in-house accountants has helped us. And even without the in-house accountants, Bibi's been very savvy, and she's been able to spot inconsistencies, right? So this is supposed to be done monthly. Every month, you're supposed to get, a P&L and annually you should get one that shows, the past 12 months. It's supposed to provide you with insights into your property's performance, just like I said. Now, the other reason you want to have it is it also helps you with planning, right? So if you don't want to enter a financial ditch unawares, this kind of helps you do that. But it helps you do that based on its accuracy. It needs to be accurate, right? And it also needs to be delivered to you guys in a timely fashion. So what month are we in? If we're in October and we're only just finding out what our July profit and loss was, well, only Lord knows what happened in August and September, and, the property could be going underwater and you really don't know. So this gives you a very good temperature check, but it's very helpful to get it almost in real time. So it's not unreasonable to request to have these documents 2 weeks into the next month. So if we're starting November, 2 weeks into November, we should at least have the October's, financial statement, give the general partnership team time to reconcile, ask questions, reconcile any discrepancies, etc. And then you send it out to your investors with your monthly reports. Okay. Now, key components are we are going to look at one pseudo real, pseudo fake one, but it's generally divided into 3 or 4 parts. There are 3 or 4 sections. The very top is almost always the income, shows you the income, or in some cases they call it revenue, that sort of thing. The first line item, we'll look at it, and if you guys have looked at a T12, looks similar. If there's any accountants in the room, looks like, I don't know, there's some IRS form apparently that this was modeled after. But the first section is the income, and you'll look at the gross potential rent, etc. We'll go into all of that, right? What are you doing as you're looking at these things? You should have a budget already done, prepared by your property manager, and you're looking to compare how close are we or how far off are we from what we had projected we were going to do. So may make more sense to, I'm not going to go over it hold on, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I'm not going to go over the P&L line by line. We're going to look at it. But before we do that, I just saw a very, very interesting / important person enter the room. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to be the property manager. I'm going to show you a financial statement, a P&L. If you've not gone through the process of having to sit with general partners, having to sit through an asset management meeting, congratulations, we're about to do one now. We're going to call together an asset management meeting right now of General Assets Property Massachusetts LLC. How's that? So I'm going to divide the Zoom into, we're going to have, some people are going to be asset managers. Bibi, you are not going to be one of them. No, you skewer everybody and
I agree.
yes, no. You can be the property manager. You can come.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, good. People come and answer why the looks the way. Okay, good.
Okay.
And then we have in our midst, I hope you're not going to get embarrassed, but put your information in the chat. We have a real estate accountant in our midst. So we'll use her as the person that she reconciled the books for us. Okay, so if we run into any accounting issues, we're going to ask her. All right, Van. She's like, no eye contact. Van, do you have any residential real estate or any commercial assets at the moment? You do. Awesome. You're going to be an asset manager. Pavi, you're going to be an asset manager. Sean, you're with me, man. You're your property management. Eric, property management. Daryl, your asset manager. So the asset managers, you guys are going to be looking, I'll give you time. We're going to go line by line. Don't take the whole thing in its full entirety. Just let's go line by line. and try and understand, what are these numbers saying? What are we doing with our property? What went wrong? Was it Taiwo's fault because she's our she's our in-house accountant, or was it our fault, the property? So these are the conversations you should start thinking about having and training yourself to have. Okay, and then oh wait, we got Adam. Wait, he's a numbers guy.
No,
Adam, your property manager. What is
anything.
that?
Don't give Adam anything. Adam is going to he's going to spoil your show.
Adam is very, very analytical. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Let us go into. Okay. So this is pseudo fake, pseudo real. The rows are real, like the codes here, that's real. This is a summary, a summarized version, and we'll look into a more detailed version. So for right now, let's see, who are my asset managers? Van, I know Van, you're one of them. Pavi, you're one of them. And if I call this an asset manager, anyone I didn't call, you want to be an asset manager, by all means, be an asset manager. The people I picked as property managers, we have to explain why the heck these things are now. We're not going to go through everything, right? You're going through, we're just really looking at 1 or 2 months. Essentially, you should have looked at a month as it went by. So let's focus on January. So in other words, we're in February. So we're now looking at January. And I believe you guys can unmute when you're ready to ask us. Or tell us, maybe we did a great job. I mean, Bibi's been doing this for over a decade, so.
Sorry, what do you want from the property manager? We are the property managers, right?
We are the property managers. We prepared this. We gave it to the asset managers. The asset managers are seeing this for the first time.
Okay.
Or they've seen it before and they have questions.
Okay.
They have questions. And we're going to go line by line. There's no need to, rush. So we're going to go line by line, and we're looking at January. Section by section. I know I said line by line. I meant section by section. So we're looking at income right now. Oh my gosh, Pavi is like studying this thing. Pavi, I made up numbers. Pavi, I made up numbers. I'm not even, I made up numbers.
Let me join the asset team, please. I want to ask questions.
No, you're not allowed. No. I've seen you in action. No.
I'd want to see Bibi in action.
No.
Let them know what we look at,
Okay, fine, Bibi, just for the
So
income part, just the income part.
Okay, the income part. Let's go ahead. Let's give them a case study, then you can call them.
Well, I wanted to, oh wait, what do you mean by case study? I wanted them to use this as the case study. I haven't told them what kind of asset this is. It's up to everybody's imagination because things can be fluid depending on the kind of questions they ask me. That's why I said I'm the
Okay, let me ask you a question. You're the asset manager, right?
No, I'm the property manager.
Okay, I'll ask you. I'm going to be the asset manager and you be the property manager. So this will be my first question to you.
January.
For January, I'll ask you, I'm going to compare, let's say I'm in February. I would say, what happened? In January, our rental income was 237, and right now we are 244. So my question to you is, what happened? How did we increase? What happened? Did the market change? What happened? That we had about $7,000 increase
More.
in the rental income.
Yes, you told us to increase rent, so we did. I'm ready for that.
Okay.
You told us to increase rent, so we did.
Okay, so my next question to you would be the vacancies. It's going down. With what I see, it's going down, but it's not a lot. Why are we not pushing?
Are you looking at January?
I'm comparing January and February. I can't.
No. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. We're in the month of February. I apologize. You can't see this. You can't see any of this. So look at January. backwards. So right
Backwards.
now
Yeah.
we're in the month of February. January has been prepared and given to us. So you can't have seen February.
Okay, but I've seen December, right?
Yes, you
Yes.
have seen
Okay,
January
okay.
and before that.
Okay, fine. Then I'll ask, my next question is, why is our vacancy high with $24,000 dollars? From 20,000, we are now 24. What's going on?
You asked us to increase rent, so people moved out.
People moved out, and it did not occur to you to test it with one or two and see if there's a pushback.
Well, the thing is, if you also look at January, we started losing people. People leave, they go back home for Christmas, and we really try to just ramp up the occupancy. That was what we were trying to do.
Okay, but this is what I would have preferred that you guys should have done is if we knew we're going to have a lot of leases that would be due in January, we might have maybe thought of not pushing rent that month or pushing it slightly or giving some little concessions. Why did we think about that?
Oh, we were just afraid of going into the negative. And you know what, Sean, at this point, if you want to jump in at some point and bail me out, by all means. It's not about looking pretty down there in California, wherever it is you live. But okay, let's keep on. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the vacancy, you've pointed out something there. So the next one is loss to lease, concession, and bad debt.
Yes.
That is high. What's going on? I understand that, yes, our January rental income has gone up. That is our gross potential income has gone up. Maybe that's why our loss to lease is high. But are we giving out concessions, and why do we have bad debt?
Yes, if you remember, I told you that Elizabeth, the community manager, was going to be moving in. So she moved in, and we have to give her we have to give her a concession of about 30%. That's our company policy. And then, like I said, it's, Christmas time, people just skipped. Hold on a second, Bibi. What does skip mean? To the room.
Skip is you break your lease, you just disappear. When
Okay.
a tenant just breaks
I
the
wanted to
lease,
make sure
yeah.
I wanted to make sure they knew. Yeah, so that's what happened. Elizabeth moved in. We thought it's going to help with tenant retention, and some people just skipped. It's Christmas. They went home out of the country. We tried. That's why we're trying to increase and ramp up leasing up. We're really working hard here.
Yeah, well, I see that you're putting some marketing money for advertising to fill those units, but I'm questioning how your methods of raising the rents. Did you just come out to your tenants and say, next month, a week from today, we'll be bumping up the rents? Or did you guys give them any heads up? Hey, in 2 months, we'll give them, bump in rent, and we can kind of amortize the vacancies over time. Like, how did you guys arrive at this huge vacancy jump within 1 month?
Well, we started in November after Thanksgiving to start knocking on doors. And we were knocking on doors, letting them know that we sent out notices. And with regards to your advertising, yeah, we paid a consultant to create a website for us so that we can increase traffic to our property.
Based on that,
What
my
kind
next...
of property?
No, go
You
ahead.
saying you haven't had a
Go
website?
ahead.
Is there anybody else that is a property manager on this call? Where are you people?
Oh, no.
You asked for it.
I want to fill up question with this.
Wait, everybody, hold up. Tia, we have divided the room into property managers and asset managers. I am the property manager, and I'm responsible for answering what the heck is going on this profit and loss. We're going section by section. Daryl, aren't you a property manager too?
No, I'm an asset manager.
Are you asset manager? You're not asking questions.
Well, I mean, you were going hot and heavy. I'm ready to jump in.
Jump in. I'm zipping up now.
So I do have a question on this. This is Taiwo.
Taiwo, are you not the one that did accounting for us? I don't know if you heard when I was telling everybody, Taiwo, in real life, I'm breaking out of character. She is a real estate
accountant.
CPA. Yeah, she's a CPA. Reach out to her. It's not just about having a CPA in your midst. It's about having someone that understands real estate investing. Okay,
Yes.
I'm out of character. Tyrone, go ahead. But I told them, everybody, that you're the one that helped us put together this financial statement. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, so speaking on the income, on the loss and the other income specifically, I wanted to touch that. So that line was there's an increase of about 3,000 there, and that's completely attributable um to interest income based on the investments we had with the bank, based on like the bank balance we have at the bank. So that's completely driven by interest income. Moving down to the operating expenses, there is a negative balance on the general and admin. That's driven by a refund we got from some of the supplies we had purchased in the prior month, December.
It's
We had
helping
to
you. Go ahead, Fahim.
so we had to do some return, and so we got a refund, and so that's why we have that negative balance in general and admin expenses. We do see there's an increase in contract services of about 1 grand. They're about less than 1 grand, and that's driven by an increase in the. Sorry, can you scroll a little bit? If I'm trying to look at the income. No income. So I want to see the whole
Income.
income. Yeah. So the increase in the contract services is driven by the increase in rental income. When you compare the January to prior month, you will see that we have a slight increase in the rental income. As a result of that, we had to get one more extra help during the month to help up with some of the
Innovation.
yeah, exactly. And then going back to insurance is flat. Our real estate tax is also flat. For trash removal, we had significant increase in trash removal. That's driven by coming out of December, a lot of the tenants had we had pretty much higher trash and higher waste in January, and this is a typical occurrence. We do see this spike in January coming out of the holiday season, so that's pretty normal in terms of going by the historical numbers, January over January, year over year comparison. And then we move to the management fee. That's supposed to be flat because we don't expect an increase on our management fee. Now, on the payroll, we also had to bring in some help, some temporary help in January to help us ramp up the increase in the tenants that we signed up for some of the vacant apartments in the building. So the increase in the payroll is also driven by increase in rental income as a result of the new tenants that we signed up for the month. Repairs and expenses, repair and maintenance. Yeah, we had to repair a couple of doors and faucets in a few of the apartments. Again, this is something that although we had this included in the budget, and even though it's 3,400, I want to say that it's still below the budget. So when we are comparing that number to what we had planned for the month, we are still in good shape, particularly given that we had some savings in December. December had 0 repairs and maintenance, so we saved some money in December. And so when we look at January, we're still in good shape there. For turnover, that's pretty much normal. The difference there is just about $100, so that's insignificant. And then the last one is water and sewer. So we had that's an increase of about 7,000, 6,000 there. So typically we see this occur in January because during the winter periods, oftentimes people are at home, people are using more water, they're using more, they have more waste during the period. So it's a normal, it's standard for us to see this spike in water and seaway around this time of the year because most people are who are at home, coming out of the holiday. And so that's what attributed that's the increase in the water and seaway is driven by that increase in people staying at home and also because of the holiday season. Overall, comparison to the total operating expenses was 118,726 versus 105 in December. that's a variance of about $3,000. That's a variance of $3,000. And can you scroll down? Let me see the NOI.
Oh, so I wanted us to take a pause here for a minute because some of them
Okay.
are new to this.
Okay.
As God is my witness, I manipulated these numbers this morning. I never spoke to Tyro, but you know what? All you asset managers, drop the mic. All right, questions. What questions do you have? She has read my mind and she's answered them all. Yep, questions. Questions.
Okay, I want to challenge the accountant and the property manager. So my question to you
Sorry,
is,
is there no other asset manager on
wait
this
now,
call?
Yeah,
allow
Is there no
yes,
me.
other asset
yes.
manager on this call? What is
There's
going
another
on?
asset manager. All right, so I got a
Okay, go
No.
question.
ahead.
So to your point, right? So a lot of work that's being done, clearly higher utilities because people are staying in the apartments, in their homes longer. But back to the vacancy point, you have a higher vacancy, but you have lower turnover expenses there. Kind of what's the correlation and why is that happening?
Because it's the holidays, and so we have a lot of families coming over to stay. They're visiting. So you could normally have an apartment that has one person or two, but when the entire family comes over, boom, expense goes up.
Yeah.
To kind of build up on Daryl's question, though, it's like if we have high vacancy, that would mean that we have a lot of vacant units that we could take advantage of and renovate and do whatever repairs we need to do when there are not tenants in those units. So I'm just kind of want to touch on what was your plan here in January when, we had this opportunity to do some repairs while the units were vacant, and based on the numbers, it doesn't look like we did that.
So let me pause here and actually ask this question. If there's a known, if there's going to be a known futuristic decrease in income, Bibi, would you then take the little money you have and do unit turns? What if, as an example, what if about the January, February period was when we were planning to give out distributions? Now I'm going based on Pavi's questions. It's a
Unit
good
turn,
question, but
yeah, unit turn is priority because that's what will increase the income. Especially when we have people coming in. If the traffic is much, I will prioritize unit turn. But if it's at a period like December where people don't shop for homes and people literally don't break their leases or look for start house hunting, I might not prioritize unit turn, or I might make it indoor since my in-house staff might be less busy. I might ask them to do it instead of outsourcing it to a third-party vendor at that point. So in that way, I can save money or look at it. Do we have anybody that needs the room now and all that? I might decide to do it. But it's priority anyway. So because this will always translate to income.
yeah, and I do want to say that we have assets in two different parts of the country, but I think the report was clear that about this time we have the least amount of traffic. So yeah, people may not be buying homes at this time, but we also experience, so it's different for every property, different for every period, but you may experience, highs and lows at different points of the year. And for us, it was about December, January.
No, I think it's a general standard, especially in the US, because the winter, we have winter maybe in November, December, January, and February. Especially like your states now, would you like to hunt for a house when there's
Oh
a lot of
Lord,
snow?
no.
That's it. So it's accepted people are maybe were thrown out of their houses or something emergency just comes up. That's when you see them going to hunt for a house. But if nothing is disturbing them, everybody will stay put till maybe March.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes, please.
So do you naturally, to your point on the T12, right? You're at least in this exercise, we were comparing, excuse me, January to December. Do you do,
Yes, we have other months, but
well, yeah,
yeah,
so as an example to that point, right? So do you also, from an asset management perspective, kind of track, okay, hey, look, this is what we spent theoretically, right? I don't say theoretically, this is what we spent in January of 2023 to kind of compare the year over year, or is it really just month to month that you really do the analysis, depending upon your
So
whole
one
process?
thing you may not see here, I'm just moving because I didn't want you to say, but you should always keep this in your true north should always be your budget, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if that's what you're asking, but we shouldn't be doing this exercise blindly. Like, well, we spent 2,000 this month and such, seems okay. No, how much did you budget to spend on that amount? Because the reason I asked that question about unit turns was this: what if the asset was somewhat struggling for cash? And we needed, I'm making this number up, $1,000, you could look here and say, well, where can we get that 1,000 from? Now, she said websites, and I wanted to touch on this. We created a website that works for some assets. It doesn't work for others. We have an asset where if you build a website, it's just, you're wasting it. I mean, we have a website, but we're not going to pump in dollars on online presence. For those in the room that may have residential assets, some of you use Facebook Marketplace, some of you use Craigslist, you could do all of that, or you could pay for Zillow. So advertising is a whole slew of options that you have. Some come cheap, some may not, but you have to tailor it based on the property. So I don't know if that helps, but you should be always comparing what you're doing and projecting it. So I'll give you an example. When about, I think December, it was about December, we're approaching December, thereabout. It's good to have resident retention events. It's very good to have that. It's good to try and get people into your door, and the people that you have there, keep them there. So these residents events, some places have them monthly, or during Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, etc. If you didn't budget for it, where is the money going to come from? But if your property is struggling and the property manager is saying, hey, we need to do this to keep the people we have, then you got to look somewhere here and say, we need to find this money from somewhere. Right?
Can
Can I chime in
respond
there?
to?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
want to respond a little. So back to what you were saying, do you compare with the trends like after a year and all that and all that? The thing is, that is where your KPI comes in. The KPI, like I said, is a ripple effect. If you miss your weekly KPIs, that is, you're not checking those KPIs you set out on a weekly basis, it's going to affect your profit and loss. Because the KPI we trickle into your profit and loss. Now, if you forget to keep checking your profit and loss, your quarterly report will have problem because you did not control the issues in month, maybe let me say November, December, January. You didn't control it. Now you picked it up in February and said you want to start. Oh, your light bill was high in November, or it was high in December, and now it's still high. You should have stopped it from going up in November when you saw it in December, but because you were not monitoring it, and now again, when you get to the end of 1 year, you now check the entire trend. Okay, this is how this has been playing out. Is there any wiggle room for us to adjust some things and all that? So it's very important. So weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, you keep doing that until you sell. You can't skip anyone. It's just an important process so that nothing goes untouched and unrealized.
Go ahead, Taiwo.
Yeah, I think the question he was referring to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that so typically when you're doing whether it's KPI or whether it's variance analysis, what you want to compare is the current month's actual versus the prior month, and then the current month's actual versus the same month prior year. So we would be looking at January versus December on one side, and then we will also be looking at January 2024 versus January 2023. The reason why we want to do this is so that we can kind of see the movements year over year. And then if there are significant changes year over year, then we need to be able to understand what's driving that variance, particularly when it comes to, so in this case where it's multi-family investing, if you have a property that you intend to hold on for like 5 years or 4 years, for instance, you still want to look at, okay, the first year, how did we do the first year versus the second year? How did we do third year versus the second year? Things like that. That kind of gives you some extra, some kind of more information as to, some of the movements that occur. It also helps you to understand, okay, do we expect that every January we expect our utility cost to go up? So that when it occurs every January, we know that, okay, this is a normal thing, it's a normal occurrence of events, versus if we just say, okay, let's compare it with Paramount, because when you're comparing January with February, they are both, winter months. So, but let's say we are comparing January with January of the prior year, and we see a stark difference, then we know something might be wrong. Then we can then ask ourselves, okay, this number is high now, but it was a lot lower in January of 2023, even though it's still the same winner. Why do we have a higher expense this year versus last year? Something like that. I think that's what he was trying to
Yes,
ask.
that's spot on. Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I said you can't skip it. Because everything you're doing, you're monitoring with your budget. Your budget is the one that kind of directs you in the entire process. So let's say in January, you did this and you corrected that issue. Let's say your light went up in January by $50,000, and you notice it in January, and this is February. You make that correction and see how it aligns with your budget. So let's say your budget is supposed to be $10,000 and your actual is actually $20,000. Then you know there's a 10,000 variance. Then and then you're correcting it, you're seeing where that issue is, and you're comparing it with your budget. So in that way, every month, everything is becoming consistent with your budget, because as it's happening, you're correcting it. So when an entire 1 year finishes, you now compare your entire 1 year with your budget. Where did it go off within that, your budget and your entire 1 year? Once you do that, you really, really trace it that, oh, my light was high. These things happened to us. Our light was high. What was the issue? We tried to reduce it, but I think the electrical company increased their light. Okay, fine. There's nothing we can really do about light. Can we introduce light-saving appliances or something that will save us power, since the electrical company has increased their light? These are the conversations you'll be having at that time. But remember, the thing is, you can't just wait till after 12 months to start correcting these issues. It must happen weekly, monthly. Then when you get a 1 year trend, that 1 year trend would have been corrected to a large extent because you've been comparing it with your budget at that time. Then once you get the 1 year trend, you can now say, okay, this was what happened 1 year, and these were the variances within that 1 year. Let's see how we can avoid it in year 2. Before then, you'd have created your budget again for year 2, because it's that 1 year experience you're going to use to create your budget. You start adjusting your budget for year 2. Okay, for example, in our 1 year, we noticed that we had leakages. Our water went really high, and we quickly adjusted. We changed all the toilet fittings, so our water reduced. But that did not change our water expenses. It had already occurred because the leakages were occurring before we changed the toilet. So let's say our water bill was already 100,000, for example. If our water bill was already 100,000, that has given us an example that that's not a trend. That is a problem. And the good thing is that we sorted it out. So when I'm doing my year 2, I'm going to put that into the right perspective. If there was no leakage, I would not have spent 100,000. Maybe I would have spent 75. That is the story you get to learn at that point. So it's important, just start from the beginning. Weekly, monthly, you'll get it right if you keep going like that. But don't wait till the 12 months is over.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it, everybody.
Of course. A couple of things I wanted to point out before we.
Are we not doing the game again? I was
Yes,
enjoying.
no, we are. I wanted to point out I do want to point out some things. So
Okay.
for instance, with gas and electric, when you're approaching these things, it's a couple of scenarios that you have to think about. Is your asset the type that, like, one of us is student housing, so we own their utilities essentially, so that the numbers will look different than someone who is maybe doing RUBS, because with RUBS, their gas and electric may look high, but then they get that reimbursed back to them versus a traditional 100% residential property where the gas and electric will be so much lower, and all you're seeing is gas and electric bills for common areas. And then another thing I wanted to point out, guys, is what I'm showing you is a summary. So when you look at something like this that says general admin, then you now look down here and you see that legal is 0. You have to ask, are they not filing any court fees? So that's the only reason, to be honest, that I put this. This is general ledger codes from 2 separate assets that we have. But hold on 1 second. I don't know if I can make it bigger while I'm sharing the screen. Hold on. Oh, Lord Jesus, I made it huge. But you can see that under general admin, there's court filing here, right? Oh dear, it's now too huge. Sorry about that.
Yes, I could not. Yeah, it's
Sorry. So you can see there's I wanted to go down and show it down here. It's down somewhere. It's the point is it's separated into 2. There's a legal fee somewhere else, and then under this you have under general admin you have court filing. This is on the right over here. Sorry.
someone said 6015.
Oh, 6015. Oh, are they looking on the right? Oh, yes. No, sorry. On the right. So this one on the right, this 6015 belongs, it's a GL code from another asset that we have, as opposed to this one. The point I'm making is what we're looking at was just a summary. So sometimes you may have questions that can only be answered when you ask them to go into the detailed view. So you should be looking into the detailed view. As you can see, there's so much more. There's so much more that you can, I can even show it here. There's so much more that it can be broken down into. So admin may just be a catch-all for a whole ton of things. And then I think I wanted to point out that for those who are looking to acquire in Texas, and I don't know if this holds true of every non-disclosure state, but for whatever reason, Texas and taxes have the same letter combination, but they don't seem to go together. But the taxes in Texas are super high. But there's a method to the madness where it may look high on paper, but there's a mechanism that most of them use, which is because it's a non-disclosure state, the taxes appear to be, I guess, sent out in it's estimated. It's an estimate of what they think you should be taxed. And so we have lawyers that litigate that and bring it down to a reasonable amount, and then we get that back as a reimbursement, but you'll have to pay the high bill. Okay. I think that was all the last thing I wanted to say was, for those who are looking to acquire smaller assets, just know that when you go larger, the management fee goes down. I think we pay, I don't know, 4 or 5% versus 8, 9, 10% that you get with the bigger ones. So we pay management fee, and we also have people on payroll. Huh? Okay.
No, it's Adam. He said was leaving. So I was saying
Oh,
thanks.
okay. All right. We're almost there. I think we've done, because these are levers we can't really pull. There's only one more thing, one or two more things I can see here that we can change. Obviously the income minus expenses is what you get to your NOI. This is kind of the number that we're going out for. But if there was one or two more levers on this, okay, actually, let me go back here. So asset managers, it appears you guys don't think we've done a great job. Let's say, we're in January, right? Let's say this number was 50,000. Let's say it was 50,000. I keep putting an extra 0. Okay, so let's say it was 50,000 and we were clearly coming up in the red, right?
That has
And
you in the
it's,
positive.
what is that? Oh,
You
I'm
said,
sorry. I meant this. I apologize. Let's say this was 50,000.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
oh yeah,
Backwards.
that's definitely
Because that is, it made the expense look lower.
No, no, no.
right.
I'll make this back to like whatever this was. Okay. Okay. And you deem that it is our poor judgment, even though you really should have been looking at your weekly KPIs, but I'll forgive you for that. What lever can you pull again on this to kind of catch up and recoup expenses? I never actually thought this might be possible, but what other thing can, because a lot of things can be negotiable, right? Can't negotiate your mortgage. It is what it is. Taxes are what they are. There are a lot of things you can negotiate, contract services, etc. But when it comes to the property management company, now eating part of this, the decision making that we've done, what can be negotiated?
I'd probably see, I don't know what the situation here is, but prior to hiring a property manager, we can make sure that they are being paid based on the rental income coming rather than getting paid per door, whether or not it is occupied. So that way they have an incentive to make sure that units are being rented rather than sitting vacant.
Awesome. Who else?
What I would do is not a one size fits all situation, given the
Are you
scenario.
gonna fire me?
No,
No, no,
Okay.
no. It
again, we have lessons
no,
learned
no.
You were
here.
going to fire me as a
Exactly.
property
It's
No,
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 manager.
no. No, we have to have a conversation because I want to understand, one, our income was low and our expenses is so high. So it's not a one size fits all solution I would ask for, because it's possible that I cannot cut from advertisement. And if it's a property that needs that advert for traffic to be built and for we to convert them, I won't touch that. But if it's a property that doesn't need it, I'll touch the advertisement budget. I'll reduce it and put it somewhere else. So depending on the property, that would decide what I can really touch. But to your point, the real estate taxes is kind of non-negotiable. The insurance is kind of non-negotiable, although there are things you can do. But in this case, those are non-negotiable. Management fee as well. Payroll, the same category. Those things you cannot really touch, but in quotes, you can't really touch them. The things I can really control are my advertisement, and like I said, depending on the property, my contract service. I can decide to use in-house, use my payroll team instead of getting a third party vendor, or I might decide to reduce my landscaping instead of 4 times a week. I might decide to do 3 times a week. In that way, I've reduced expenses. For my gas and electric, I might decide to get a power saving thing that can help reduce my electric and all that. Or I'll introduce ROBs. If I'm the one paying it and I'm seeing that it's not equivalent, I might decide to start introducing ROBs in tranches, not in a full blown, so that I don't also make the tenants feel uncomfortable and leave. So I might start with 40% of what we've spent, and gradually I will increase it to 80%. And before you know it, it becomes 100%. The next thing I can also touch is the repairs and maintenance. So depending on how we do things, it's possible we have all the inventories in our store. So if I have those things, that means I'm not really going to buy those repair items. I will have my in-house payroll people do the job and pay nothing. My turnover, I'll have my in-house people do it and also pay nothing, because I have the inventory, those things, the painting, I have the paint and everything in my store and all that. So depending on those are the things I think I can.
You didn't touch on water and sewer. That was something we did.
Yes. Oh, yes. Water and sewer. Another thing I would try to do there is either I introduce ROBs. If I see the tenants are not like managing well, I might introduce ROBs or put a cap because that's what I just recently did on one of my properties. I put a cap. We pay your water, but if you exceed this level of usage, you reimburse us the extra. So I can decide to do that, or I can decide to find out why my water bill is high. I can trace it to leakages and get my payroll teams to go around and do an overhauling of the plumbing system, the toilets, are there leakages in the unit? We can use about 2 weeks or a week to go through it. When we go through that exercise, we'll find out the leakages and repair them. With that, my water bill will come down. And lastly, in Dallas, in a place like Dallas, we have something called rebate. So if you have significant leakages, you can apply to the water company once a year to ask for reimbursement that you had a significant, because you show proof of what were the leakages and all that. That can also help you increase your reduce your expenses because you're getting reimbursement back from the water company and all that. So like I said, depending on the property, it's not one size fits all. The situation will determine where you can cut down on cost or where you cannot touch.
Yeah. Comments from anybody else in the room? All the property managers that abandoned me, speak up now.
I said same, I'm done too. So
Like,
over to you.
Sean, this was just shameful.
I don't think Sean will talk.
Sean just abandoned me. You just allowed Pavi, Daryl, and
Taiwo.
Bibi.
Taiwo,
Taiwo
Pavi,
came to my defense. She came
No,
to my defense.
I
the
was,
three of you were the champions here.
She came to my defense.
yeah.
Yes, she did.
She did.
That's why nobody wants to be a property manager.
It is educational.
I like the asset part than the property part.
If you've not gotten, I just want to say, if you've not gotten your first commercial real estate deal, you will get it. You'll get it. The idea behind this was to stop seeing yourself as doing this one day. You're doing it now. And when you do get it, not if you get it, you will get it. And when you do get it, you start having, okay, erase all the giggles and laughter. That does not that does not happen in property management. They're very serious. But you will get it, and you want to come across as very poised, knowledgeable. You don't want them necessarily leading you on every single thing. Having someone like a Taiwo is helpful. We have those types of people on our team because you could easily get bamboozled. This is not my area of expertise. So it's very helpful.
Tell them how Ayana helped us save 50-something thousand.
That's right. With one of the assets that we acquired, oh gosh, clearly we were not in alignment with that property management company. We didn't know that at the time going in. We figured it out really quickly. And we got hit with this huge big bill. And it was like, what the, how did, and we're still new to this. We're still trying to settle down, getting to know this property. And the accountant on our team, also a general partner, who, I don't know what is with you guys and your numbers, the way your brains work, but very detail oriented, painstakingly, sometimes it appears to be painstakingly slow, but it resulted in her catching the fact that they had looped in this extra 50, that it had nothing to do with us.
$52,000.
Had nothing to do with us. And so, yeah, maybe you would think twice if that was you, but what if 15,000 was woven in? You may not know, right? What if it's 5,000? So it has to be right down to the penny. Essentially, what they're doing is almost like forensic accounting. They're trying to find any form of, I won't say mismanagement, but yes, inconsistencies, discrepancies. And that's their forte. That's something that they're very good at. Am I saying, and I know in the beginning I said that Bibi had accountants as part of the general management team. I'm not saying don't join a team if there's no general, if there's no accountant on there, but you need an accountant in some way. Just case in point, I didn't speak to Taiwo today. A lot of things she said, that was exactly how my brain was thinking. It's Christmas, so this happened and that. She's able to craft a story based on numbers. So I would really, really encourage you guys to think along those lines. Any questions before we wrap up? We are a little bit past the hour. Questions, concerns, you're confused, you're like, what the?
I have a comment.
Yes.
So based on this exercise you did, you see that the attributes of a property manager and that of an asset are different. So as an asset manager, you have to be analytic. You have to understand the numbers. That is a compulsory thing. Yes, you might not be an accountant, but you have to understand the numbers, because if you don't, then there's trouble somewhere. So there are two different
Rules.
strengths. One is based on customer service, repairs, and all that. The ability to be able to get third-party vendors to do that. That is not your job for as an asset manager. Yours is more of the overall portfolio. What's going on in your overall portfolio, and also the analytic is very, very important. So those are skills you will need to get if you want to become an asset manager, regardless of whatever it is you're doing on the asset team. Very important.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you. Daryl put his information in the chat. Everyone connecting in the chat. The Zoom is going to close soon. But thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, shoot it in the WhatsApp group. If there were any things you wanted us to, focus on, let us know.
I enjoyed the session, so very interactive.
Oh, cool. Thank you. We didn't do the balance sheet. I told you I'm not a CPA. I'm not an accountant. I can, walk you through that. But one day you all will be doing this. So hopefully you'll do it with a lot more confidence than I did when I
See,
first.
I'm going to call you out. You just went dark. Now you put the camera.
TS closing multi-million-dollar deals.
What's that?
I said your camera went off doing the exercise. Now you're back.
Well, yeah, I was going back and I'm unfortunately having to multitask.
Okay. I thought you were avoiding being the property manager.
I was calling for help because Sean abandoned me. Jeez. And then Daryl and Pavi were attacking me. But no, thank you guys so much for coming. We will see you. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, in 2 weeks. I believe so. Yeah, we should see you in 2 weeks. You'll get the notification, etc. So thank you guys and have a great
Thank you
night.
very much.
Of
Thank you
course.
so
Thank
much. I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
Of
you all.
course. My pleasure.
To do what you do, you've got to be a world-class violinist.
The problem is with you, you need to be in a group. You need to sing
There were times when it sounded to me like a bunch of rats being strangled. But you're not good enough